Now that we've finished up equations and we've done one-step inequalities, really from here on out with inequalities, nothing else is going to be new. All we're doing is putting together all the rules that we did with all the equations and the rules with inequalities, which is, remember, if we have a best friend that's negative, that coefficient, if that coefficient is negative, we have to flip the sign. Other than that, everything else is exactly the same as we've been doing with equations. So we're going to draw that line down through our inequality sign. And remember, now I'm trying to get the m alone. And next to the m, I have the 2 and the 5. So I need to get rid of both 2 and 5. Well, 2 is the closest. It's the coefficient. So remember, we just say that that's the best friend. And our best friend in this problem is positive. If we have a positive number, is that going to flip the sign? Nope. So I'm just going to bring that down exactly the same as it is in the original problem. And now I can just solve like a normal equation, except I have an inequality sign. To get rid of a plus 5, I subtract 5. What I do to one side, I have to do the same thing to the other one. So these 5s are going to cancel out. And on the left side, I still have 2m. On my line, instead of having an equal sign, now remember we bring down our inequality sign. And 17 minus 5, I just get 12. But m is still not by itself. So now we have to get rid of that best friend. So to get rid of, if the m is touching the 2, remember that just means multiply. So to get rid of multiply, we have to divide. And what we do to one side, we still have to make sure we do to the other. So those 2's are going to cancel out, and I'm just left with m is less than or equal to, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now graphing two-step inequalities is exactly the same thing as graphing one-step. So in my answer, I have a 6, which means on my number line I need that 6. To the left is where numbers are getting smaller, so I have 5 and 4. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We put a circle on that 6 because that's the number that's in our answer. And remember, that line underneath means that it can equal 6. So we color in that 6 because 6 is included in our answer. Then all I care about is what can m equal. Well, if m is less than 6, what numbers are less than 6? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and all the numbers going to the left. So now with this one, it's the same type of problem. I have my variable. The best friend is, negative 2. What happens with inequalities when that best friend is negative? Well, we have to flip the inequality sign. So instead of being a less than, my final answer down here is actually going to be greater than. So I'm going to put that in my solution box right now so I don't forget to do it later. So then let's just solve. To get rid of a plus 3, I subtract 3. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Remember, bring everything else down for the next step. So I still have m divided by negative 2 is less than, and 15 minus 3 is 12. Most common mistake I see is the negative 2's on the bottom here, so people think they have to put the negative 2 on the bottom on this side. But remember, to get rid of a number on the bottom of the fraction, to cancel it out, I actually need that same number on the top of the fraction. So in order to get rid of a negative 2 on the bottom, I have to put a negative 2 on the top. But if I put a negative 2 on the left side, I also have to put a negative 2 on the top there on the right side. So the 2's can cancel and the negatives can cancel. But since I multiplied by a negative, my inequality sign flips for my final step. And I'm just left with that m. 12 times negative 2 is negative 24. So my final answer is m is greater than negative 24. So on my number line, I need negative 24. To the left, it's getting smaller, so negative 25 and negative 26. So in order, I have that negative 6, negative 25, negative 24, negative 23, and negative 22. We put a circle on that negative 24 because that's the number in my answer. And since m is greater than, my arrow is going to go to the right. And since it can't equal, I leave that circle open. So remember, for two-step inequalities, it's exactly the same rules as two-step equations, put together with the rules we learned from one-step inequalities.